Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to Manifest Your Bliss. I am Shelly Aristizabal, and I'm so happy that you joined me here today because I have a very special guest. Hi, Rich.
Hi there. Thanks for having me, Shelly.
I'm so glad you're here. I met Rich Keller just a few weeks ago. I did his one-word program, which you're going to learn about here in a few seconds through my new coaching team. And it just blew me away. I mean, just the process of it and how powerful it was. So I asked if Rich would come on the podcast because I'm actually talking about core values in my last week's podcast. And this, I think core values on steroids, you know what I mean? Like taking it up even a notch further. So I hear a little clicking noise. Is that me?
I'm okay. I don't hear that.
Okay.
I'm okay.
Anyway, so Rich Keller is the catalyst, right? And he,
I'm wearing it on my shirt.
I mean, it's so obvious. Yeah. They always say isn't there something about your tagline, if you can wear it on a t-shirt, then you're like golden. But,
that's what Sarah Blakely did. Sarah Blakely did that for many years with Spanx. So
yes, she did. So Rich should know about marketing because he spent 25 years, and it's amazing. You don't even really look like you could have done a career for 25 years. You look young. You were a brand marketing executive, like big time, like Nabisco. You said Godiva, Kraft Foods, Cadbury. So you had a lot of chocolate in your, and so you kind of from that experience learned a lot about understanding core value and becoming your brand. And I want to say that I binge listened to your podcast because I became so curious about the one word of these big brands. And I love that you said that you know one thing. I think he knows one thing is your product is not your brand. Your brand is your core value. And I don't think many people would think that. So anyway, right. I'm going to ask you, Rich, tell me about yourself.
Oh boy, that's actually how I started my business, because I think that is one of the hardest questions to answer. And I struggled with that for a lot of years because I believe we are raised to think that what we do is who we are. Okay. And I believe that what you do is not who you are, but who you are should drive what you do. And so when I used to get that question when I wasn't working, when I was out of jobs, I would be freaked out on how to answer it. So I would say that I was consulting because I believed that what you do is who you are. That's what the world told me. And what I realized is that what that question's really asking you is, tell me how you add value in the world. That's what tell me about yourself is really asking. So a little bit of my backstory. I was 50 years old when I quit my career. I'm 54 today, and I'm very proud of that number. I quit my career. I'm a cancer survivor, 27 years. My wife is a 10-year survivor. And I left my career behind because I wanted to help people win. And what I did not know at the time I quit, was that what I really did was go from branding brands to branding people. Because if you really think about it, if you own a phone, you're a brand. And what people say about you when you're not in the room is your brand. That's the famous Jeff Bezos quote. And so what I realized is the question, tell me about yourself, tell me how you add value. What I realized is every single brand that I ever worked on, and just branding in general, is about improve the lives of others. We buy products and services out in the world because they help us solve problems. And so when I say your product is not your brand, what I mean is the core value of that brand is brought to you through the product or service. So you're not buying the product or service, you're buying the core value that comes with it. And I'll give an example shortly to make my point. But what I realized is that people are brands. So when you get that question, if you could, in one word, tell people what you sell, who you are, and then tell people what you do as a result of that, now you don't have to worry about answering that question, because whether you're in a job or out of a job, you've been doing a lot of things throughout your life. But if you start with, this is who I am in one word, and this is what I do as a result to bring who I am to life, now the whole game changes. And what I realized is that's what I did for brands for 25 years. And I pivoted to do that for entrepreneurs and people, obviously entrepreneurs specifically, because entrepreneurs are the brand. And your job is to take yourself and your business and marry it with your core value. And that's what I am building every day and really working hard. And I know you know this. I started from the ground up again at 50, and I'm helping 1 million. My goal is to help 1 million people discover their one word, transform 1 million lives one word at a time. So your one word is your core value, which is what you give away to the world to improve the lives of others. That's how I define core values. So when somebody buys me, they're buying, I'm a catalyst. That's my one word. I am a disruptor. I chose branding to disrupt you, to help you discover who you are in one word, because I simplify. That's what catalysts do. You blow it up, you simplify, one word. And I can help people discover who they are in one word through what I do for a living. And then I take that entrepreneur who discovers that one word and I marry it to their business. And I always say the difference between a business and a brand is you. If you bring yourself to your business, you will have a long-term brand in the end, because that's what branding is about. It's a long-term game.
Oh my gosh. And I think it's hard for a lot of people. I know it was for me. And I feel like I'm pretty much in touch with like who I am, what I'm about. But this kind of like really made me go deeper and like be even more honest with myself about who I am and how I'm showing up to the world. Right. And it's a powerful exercise. And I think it's easy for people to understand when you start sharing the brands and their value. Right. I mean, like, and then you're like, wow, that makes so much sense, you know? And of course, Spanx was huge for me because I feel like with Cinchin, I'm in that same category as, you know, and so please share how.
Yeah. Yeah, I share two examples on stages when I do speaking. Spanx is my best example. And I like to tell you listeners, I wear a Spanx compression t-shirt. So I talk about the brands that I wear. Okay. Yes. And the example I give to people just very simply, now I don't know Sarah Blakely, so obviously I study entrepreneurs, but if Sarah called you 20 years ago when she started Spanx, Shelly, and said, I have a pair of underwear to sell you. It's beautiful, soft. You're going to love wearing it. And it's $80. Can I have your credit card? Chances are you would hang up, because nobody spends $80 on a pair of underwear for the most part. Right. Okay. But she called you back a week later after realizing that, you know what am I actually selling? What's my core value? If she called you back a week later and she said, Shelly, I have confidence to sell you. And let me tell you, when you put on my underwear, you are going to rock it at that next event, and everyone's going to want to know what's going on under your clothes. And that's $80. Now you have a brand, because you bought confidence from Sarah Blakely. And I believe her core value was all about the confidence she had, not only to find a pair of pants in her closet that would fit, but she had enough confidence to figure out how to build a business, go make it happen. No experience whatsoever in the business world, wrote her own patent, went out and found production people. So I believe when you buy Sarah Blakely and you buy Spanx, you're buying confidence. And if you think about it, because you and I had done a session together, that's exactly what that product does. Because why would you, I say, suck it in and lift it up and look a little thinner? Because you're confident. And that's how I feel on stage. And so that's one example I give. When somebody says to Sarah Blakely, I believe, hey, what business are you in? Or what business is Spanx in? You're in the business of your core value, confidence. The second example I give, which I also like to tell for people that don't wear Spanx, is Apple. And Apple's a really good example. Nobody pays $800 for a phone. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, when I grew up, Apple was all about the Mac. It was the Mac computer. But Steve Jobs got smart and he said, you know what? The business we're actually in is simplicity, because we actually put the world in your hands.
Yeah.
We take the phone and we give you everything you need in that phone. So the world is in your hands and it makes your life simple. And the reason I give this example is because if you knew Steve Jobs when he was alive, he embodied his core value on every stage. He wore a black turtleneck, jeans, and sneakers. I bet you your listeners will be like, oh, yeah, you're right. That was not because he didn't have a dry cleaner in town. It was because he embodied simplicity. And when you embody your core value as a brand, because I believe the entrepreneur's the brand, you got to marry your business together. When you embody that, you have to live that. And he was a simple guy. You may not have liked him. You may not have thought his leadership style was great. Whatever that is, that's for you to decide. But at the essence of who he was, he sold simplicity, came to Apple, and he said, I'm going to put it into a phone, a computer, a music player, and a watch. And they were no longer known for Macs. They're known for simplicity, because I bet you if you ask 10 different people, everybody's own Apple product is going to be the number one product they talk about, because they're not known for their products. They're known for their core value. They put the world in your hands.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And so understanding that at every level, because, you know, like you say, is like you use your product as your vehicle to drive your core value. So if it starts with the core value, then you can, like, it's any product.
Oh, exactly right. Oh, exactly right. And let's talk a little bit about that, because when COVID hit, the most global impacted phenomenon, we all got hit with COVID. I'll give my example. As a catalyst, I do coaching, speaking, podcasting, consulting. So when COVID hit and I lost all my speaking gigs in March of 2020, I was not known as a speaker. You are not defined by what you do.
Right.
I am a catalyst. So I was able to pivot. This is where it becomes important. Brands that are known for their core value, like a Spanx, can do bras and underwear and bathing suits and pants.
Yeah.
Same thing with Apple. So for people, entrepreneurs that are listening, when you operate at the core value level, you can put a lot of things under that, as long as they all ladder up to what you're really selling. And you can pivot between your revenue channels and products as the world changes in front of you. And I think COVID was the moment I realized that my philosophy is powerful, because I went from doing speaking to doing coaching, doing consulting, doing podcasting, because I'm defined by who I am: a catalyst, a disruptor in branding. And that's the thought I want your listeners to think about. Think of the brands you love out there and think about what they're really selling. And then they put a lot of things under that, because you want to diversify your income as an entrepreneur, but you also want to have a core product. Like Starbucks, their core product is coffee, not baked goods.
Yeah.
So Apple, I would imagine today is probably the iPhone, but and maybe it was the Mac computer. But you want to ask yourself, what is my core product, such that if it went away, I don't have a business. Okay. And so what you see, because the difference between a business and a brand is you. If you bring yourself to your business, you still have to have a main product. If I give you $1, you can't put 20 cents on 5 things. I'm going to encourage you to put 90 cents on the main one and maybe 10 cents on another. You have to have a core product that you are building your brand on.
Ah, that's so good. It's so good for me. And I know a lot of people, because of the law of attraction, it seems like I attract those type of people who have this thing called shiny object syndrome.
Right.
You know, so understanding my core value is helping me see it from a different way. You know, I mean, and I've kind of narrowed my thing. I'm still working on the process, because it's not like, oh, you're just going to pick a word. right? And that's it. You know, I've asked my friends, I've done your workbook, which we're going to put your link down below, because I think every person, and I love that you even encourage high school students and like if they can learn at that young time in their life, like who they really are, because you're like born with this. This isn't like something you choose. Like, you know, Sarah Blakely is confidence.
Born with confidence. That's right. You know, it's interesting you say that, because I think it's important to raise that. You know, everybody's born with their core value in my philosophy, and the world knocks you down because you get all these limiting beliefs. I'm not good enough if I don't have letters after my name, if I didn't go to college, if I'm not working. And the world sort of like digs you in, which is what happened to me, until you realize you got to rise up. Everybody has a magic. You have to then go decide what to do. So it's an interesting point you brought up. Everybody will want to pick a word that they love, but here's the thing: your story plus your core value plus your business is the winning brand. And so if you don't pick a core value that allows you to tell your story, you're not credible. There's no authenticity there. And so that's why you got to pick the word, decide how your story fits into that, and then you inject it into your business venture, because in the end, that's really what you're selling. Sarah doesn't sell underwear or bathing suits. She sells confidence. And if you don't hear her story, if you don't listen to her story, the next person that comes along can say the same thing. But I bet you if you listen to Sarah's story, you're going to be like, wow, I want what she has. And the reason that we buy brands is because they have something we don't have, but we need. And so I need simplicity in my life. I'm going to buy an iPhone. If I don't need simplicity and I want to be a techno, expert or techno geek, I'm not going to buy an Apple, because I'm going to want to have a brand maybe like Samsung that's really technologically like innovative. And I'm going to learn about the back end of that. I don't need to know that. I just want to touch a button and call a friend. So
yeah, that's me.
You know what I mean? But it's important to know what you sell, because that will determine where your market is and who you're going to go after. And I want to give, if it's okay, I'd love to give one more example of a brand that is not, a phone, and it's not, underwear. And you and I worked on this. Sesame Street's a really good example. Most people, when I say to people, what do you think Sesame Street sells? The first thing they say to me, hands down, is education. But the truth is, that's the category they're in. That's like saying Starbucks sells coffee, but they don't. That's the category. And then a lot of people will always say, oh, the TV show, the TV show, the TV show. But guess what? They have a theme park, they have books, videos, clothing, and they also have a TV show. And if you think about Sesame Street, I'll give it away, even though I talk about it on my podcast. they sell inclusivity.
Yeah.
Everyone's invited to the party at Sesame Street. And so when I work with people, they go to education right away. And then when I work through it with them, they're like, you're absolutely right, because they childize issues to make everybody feel like they're part of the world. And they have all the different characters, and even some of the characters that are mentally challenged, Down syndrome, autism. It's because I get to see myself. Or they're talking about an issue that is in the world, but they childized it. And then the kids go to school and everybody feels like they're part of the game, because Sesame Street helped you understand that inclusivity is what we sell. And that's why they're $1 billion brand.
And they were around when we were growing up, and I'm still showing it to my little granddaughter.
Well, that's just it. So the reason that I believe in what I do and why I quit my career was because I wanted to help entrepreneurs understand, just look at the brands out there that are doing it and just say to yourself, wow, Rich, I never thought of that. They sell inclusivity, and even their people that they have on, the humans, everybody's from different nationalities, races, and they have all different characters. And even Cookie Monster, who ate carrots, had to tell people, you know what? Healthy foods included. And so I just want to change the way entrepreneurs think about themselves, and use the brands out in the world to understand the philosophy and just get it down to one word, which I know you're working through.
Yeah.
And then just ask yourself, is that what I sell? And if you do sell that, then give a message to the audience that will allow them to go, oh, you know what? I want to rock it at my next event. That's what the Spanx message could be. I want to rock it at my next event. Well, if you buy Spanx, I'm going to put the confidence in the underwear. The technology is going to make you confident. Oh my God, I just spent $80 on confidence. Done.
It's fabulous, and it's just it makes so much sense, and it's important. It's an important process of growing for you personally, and then for your business, especially entrepreneurs, because we're kind of like feel like we have to do everything ourselves, and we have to be and do all the time. Whereas, like, I think actually knowing your core value is relaxing. It's making it easier to make decisions.
Know what you sell. That's right.
Yeah.
Know what you sell.
Yeah.
It's funny. When I'm on stage, I also give another example, which I'd love for your listeners to hear because it'll just give them like really good senses. Miley Cyrus is a great example.
Okay.
I don't know Miley, but I would pretty much say that her one word is probably irreverent. She sells irreverence. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty bold. And if you think about it, let's say that this is just a really basic example for your listeners. Let's say you just had a baby and you are in an emergency and you need somebody to babysit your kid, newborn. And who knocks on the door? Miley Cyrus. I probably would venture to say that you're not going to let Miley Cyrus babysit your kid. Okay. Now, why? Because perception is reality. Okay. Mm-hmm. You are what people Google. And so the reason I bring this up on stages is because let's say Miley has 12 certificates in babysitting. Well, guess what? If she doesn't tell me that, I am only going to listen to what she puts out in the universe. And it's all about irreverence, wrecking ball. Go look at which is fine, by the way. I want to make that clear. Yeah. But you're not going to be the first person on the phone call to babysit. And that's what branding is. When you build that identity around, I'm a disruptor, I'm a catalyst. You don't want to put me on brands like a Nike or an Apple because I can't do anything to disrupt those brands. They're billions of dollars. We don't want to take the risk. You want to put me on the new and up and coming brand to think differently, break through the mold. But I know that now, and I didn't know that when I started my career. I couldn't articulate that. And that's what I try to help entrepreneurs and college kids and high school kids at times as well, because you will have an easier time building your business because you're going to get focused, which is something we all have to do.
Absolutely. I mean, focus is definitely important. And like I said, understanding this and what message you're sending out, it will actually make it easier for you to make decisions. And I love that. So I have to ask you one thing. In one of your podcasts, you did Doritos. And you said their core value was cheesy.
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting. They're selling cheesy. Explain.
The reason that I did that was also from a personal experience that I had, because we launched a competitive product when I was at
it's a great story.
And the product we launched Doritos is all about getting the cheese on your hands and licking your fingers.
Yeah.
And so we launched a product thinking, because we hadn't done our research, that, oh my God, this is a mess-free chip that we were launching. And we did a whole campaign, and guess what? It bombed because people liked the cheesy licking flavor of Doritos. It was flavorful. And people talked about in research the cheesiness of what Doritos brings on their fingers. It was a good thing. And so it's a subjective thing. It's subjective. I mean, there's no question it's subjective, but I would venture to say that Doritos' number one product is their main Doritos.
Yeah.
And I believe that full of flavor. I didn't want to say flavor because that's very bland and generic. If they sell flavor, so does everybody else. But I really just felt like from the research and the impact of the failure we had with our product, that's what that taught me. So that's why I chose. I get a lot of challenges on the one words I pick for brands, but that's my philosophy and how I looked at it. But that was the reason why, because they sell the cheesiness on that tortilla chip is what sells Doritos. It's not the tortilla chip.
Right.
It's the magic of what they put on it. So that's why I chose that.
I love that. I just had to throw that out there.
Yeah,
Anyway, I love your mission for 1 million people. And I am just going to encourage whoever's listening to the podcast today to get in touch with you, because it's your workbook, you offer it, and it's a process to go through. You can see I have all my notes on the papers, and I loved it. It's a great way to look in, and it'll be interesting to see once I get down to my one word. I'm still in the process.
Yeah.
If you will be able to tell me what my word is based on, as you see, my brand slightly being tweaked a little bit, because I feel like I have just been selling a product, right? I'm selling Cinch It, and here's what you can do, here's how it works. And now I'm really taking this seriously and going to add my one word, which I'm feeling like I'm close, but I'm not going to share it yet.
I'm looking forward to reading your workbook, because that's the other thing. A lot of people you can actually purchase my workbook and do the program alone, and you can do it with me. And a lot of them will do it alone, and then they'll call me and they're like, I got my word, here it is, and what do you think? And I'm like, I would have a reality show if I was that magical. I have to read the book.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward, but I will say you have a great product. You really do. If you are able to determine what you're really selling, the so what, as I call it, you even have a bigger home run on your hands. And that's why I love what I do, and why I chose to help entrepreneurs brand themselves and then marry it to their business, because it's not about the product. It's about what people are getting as a result of that product. And I bet you it comes from your story, because you have a great idea. So I'm looking forward to that. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you so much. And listen, everybody, I'll put everything in the link in the podcast notes. And I encourage you to check out Rich's podcast, check out his website, do the program.
My podcast is called The Catalyst Effect. Just type in The Catalyst Effect, Rich Keller. I pick brands out in the world that you know and love. I share what their one word is. I do some interviews with my clients, and hopefully, Shelley, you'll be a guest someday to share your one word.
I'd love to.
But thank you for having me. I'm always grateful to be able to have a platform to share what I really want to do, which is help entrepreneurs discover who they are in one word.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you. I really love it, and I appreciate you being on here. And be watching for my one word. Thanks, Rich. Okay. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.